Have you ever wondered what it means to truly come home? Today, we're delving into a biblical tale that explores this very question. It's a story set in the arid landscapes of the Middle East over 2,000 years ago. A parable of a wayward son, lost and found. A narrative that speaks to the heart of forgiveness and redemption. This is the tale of the prodigal son, a story of homecoming and forgiveness. In a land far away, a father had two sons. This father was a man of wealth and dignity, a shepherd of his flock, both in the literal and the metaphoric sense. His sons were his pride, each a different facet of his own being. One day, the younger son approached his father. Bold and restless, he was eager to carve out his own path in the world. He asked his father for his share of the property, an unusual request, considering inheritance was typically divided after the father's passing. Yet the father, loving and understanding, respected his son's wish. He divided his property, his life's work, equally among his two sons. The younger son, now with his share, was filled with dreams of adventure and prosperity. He packed his belongings, his heart brimming with anticipation for the journey ahead. And so, the younger son set off to distant lands, leaving his family behind. Far from home, the younger son squandered his wealth in wild living. Immersed in the allure of newfound independence, he lived for the moment, sparing no thought for the morrow. His days were filled with lavish feasts and extravagant parties, a stark contrast to the humble life he once knew. The echoes of laughter, the clinking of glasses, the endless revelry, all these became the rhythm of his life. Yet, as quickly as his fortune came, it disappeared even faster. His reckless lifestyle drained his resources, leaving him penniless. As if on cue, a severe famine ravaged the land, further deepening his desolation. The once vibrant city turned into a ghost town, its inhabitants struggling to survive. With no money left and no one to turn to, the son was forced into a life he never imagined. Bereft and alone, he found himself feeding pigs, envying their food. A far cry from the life of luxury he had once enjoyed. In his despair, the son had a moment of clarity. He found himself knee-deep in regret, burdened by the weight of his choices. He had squandered his inheritance, his freedom, and more importantly, his relationship with his father. The once vibrant and promising son was now a stranger in a distant land, with nothing to his name. He yearned for the comfort of his father's home, the familiar scent of fresh bread in the mornings, the warmth of the hearth. He yearned for a place where he was once cherished, not for his wealth, but for his mere existence. It was in this moment of longing that he made a decision. He would return home. He would face his father and admit his wrongdoings. He would ask for his father's forgiveness, not as a son, but as a servant. He understood that he had lost the right to be called a son. With a heavy heart and humble spirit, the son began his journey home. Back home, the father saw a familiar figure in the distance. His heart leapt in his chest. A surge of joy washing over him, washing away the years of worry and despair. It was his son, returning home. The sight of that beloved figure, weary and worn, but undeniably his own, was more than the father could have hoped for. His heart swelled with relief and forgiveness. The father, overcome with emotion, ran to meet his son, embracing him warmly, tears of joy streaming down his face. The son, humbled and repentant, began to speak, to apologize, to ask for forgiveness. But the father, in his boundless love, silenced him, choosing instead to celebrate his return, to rejoice in the fact that his son, once lost, was now found. Despite the son's mistakes, despite the pain he had caused, the father chose to celebrate. He ordered a feast to be prepared, a grand celebration to mark the return of his son. The finest robe was brought out, the fattened calf was slaughtered, and the house was filled with music and dancing. For the father, this was not a moment to dwell on past wrongs, but to celebrate the present joy. The father's love was unconditional, his forgiveness absolute. His son had made mistakes, yes, but he had also learned, grown and returned. In the father's eyes, he was not the prodigal son, but the beloved son. In his father's eyes, the son who was lost was now found. Meanwhile, the elder brother returned from the fields. His heart, heavy with the day's toil, suddenly lightened at the sound of music and laughter. But as he neared, his joy turned to confusion, then to resentment. His younger brother, who squandered his inheritance, was back and being celebrated. Unfair, he thought, his face a mask of indignation. He confronted his father, his words heavy with bitterness. "I've served you all these years, and you never threw me a feast." His father, calm and wise, replied, "Son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate, for your brother was lost, and now he is found." His father's words echoed in the elder son's ears. A plea for understanding, a call for compassion. It wasn't about who was right or wrong, but about love and forgiveness. For the father, both sons were dear, both sons were home. In this timeless tale, we find a mirror to our own lives. The prodigal son's story, while ancient, speaks to the human experience in ways that are still profoundly relevant today. It's a story that reminds us of the power of forgiveness, the transformative effect of repentance, and the unyielding force of unconditional love. In the prodigal son, we see our own missteps, our own wanderings, our own longings for something more. His return home is our own longing for acceptance, for a place of belonging where we are loved regardless of our flaws and failures. The father's open arms, his joyous celebration upon his son's return, are not just an expression of parental love. They represent the divine love that is ever ready to welcome us back, no matter how far we've strayed. The prodigal son's journey is a journey we all take in our own ways. The story of the prodigal son raises a powerful question. This timeless tale tells us about love, forgiveness, and redemption. It invites us to reflect on our own journeys of straying and return, of rebellion and reconciliation. The Father's boundless love mirrors God's mercy, reminding us that no matter how far we may stray, we are always welcomed home with open arms. The lessons are profound, inspiring us to ponder our own paths. Are you a prodigal son?